Hello and welcome to another Mrreeeee Real Talk. Now today I just like to talk about my journey coming into a Vengeance Demon Hunter into Season 3. You may or may not know, but I actually didn't tank Season 2 or Season 1. I did tank in previous seasons, but this was really my first time playing Vengeance Demon Hunter, and I've hit about 2.9k. I probably will hit 3k by the end of the week, and I just want to make this video for anyone else wanting to play Vengeance Demon Hunters and wanting to transition into the M+ scene like I have. I won't talk more about the rating. I haven't really gone to pushing logs or undoing the M+ Mythic rating. I have cleared Heroic, however, but this is really around M+. So first, let's talk about gearing and stat weights. I really prioritized, and most Demon Hunters are prioritizing crit and haste. That is really, I'm sitting at 5,868 haste. There are Demon Hunters up there who are around 6,000 haste, but really crit haste is the focus, and they're pretty much equal. So any gear, you're going to go agility, of course, for eye level, and then prioritize crit and haste where you can. Now, there is some back and forth. I only have 18% verse. I have seen some Demon Hunters who are pushing the 28, 29s who have more than that, around 30% verse, and have dropping crit and haste, but there are definitely Demon Hunters pushing 29s with just crit and haste. So you're not losing that survivability by going crit and haste, but you're also getting the damage. So it hasn't been full one way or the other. I've just kind of been sitting at that high crit haste, and if I got verse, I'll put some on. But I mean, I've been comfortably hitting 3k. I don't feel like I'm going to die much at all in boss fights or anything. So I guess for you, really, I'd recommend crit haste. And then if you are, for some reason, struggling to stay alive, up the verse a bit for yourself. So that's kind of what I've been thinking around in the stat space. I did, luckily enough, get my Prophetic Stone Scales. That's a must for M+. Every Demon Hunter is using that second meta, and then we'll talk about that with M+ talents. I actually haven't got the best trinket, so I'm using Accelerated Sandglass. I haven't had the Towel, the Hand of Medal trinket that actually drops the auto attacks, but yeah, actually highest simming trinket. That doesn't mean that most Demon Hunters are running that. There are a few. Otherwise, it's the Farak trinket that drops from Raid, which is actually pretty popular amongst the board. The Angry of the Primal Flame. Oh, sorry, this one here. Farak's Trinket Raid chart. So these two trinkets are actually kind of pretty popular for Vengeance as secondary. Of course, double time is up there. Some guys have 2 double times, some have 1 and 1 double time, but having a double time weapon is definitely higher priority. These are pretty standard rings if you go in the crit haste build with the Band of Course Dominance and the Seal of Regal. There is a super rare neck that drops from Raid off, I believe it is Volcaros. The Ouroboros neck, which gives us a shield that some are using, so again for that mitigation, but otherwise the Iron Shell pendant is pretty popular. So that's pretty much where I've been doing my stats and focusing. If you're looking at gear, of course, 2 Sophic Devotions. I've been pumping my verse because my crit and haste is pretty, we're diminishing returns when you cross that 30%. Leech, Waking Stats, and Regenerative. So the stats weights, again, start high level, crit haste, and work your way down. So that's pretty much how I focus when I came to gearing. I guess let's start talking about talents. So I've really got 2 talent builds that I've noticed people are using. This is the Tyrannical build. This side is pretty self-explanatory. I think they do change, and I might change here, but if we look at the talents here, I've got 3% Mastery on my Tyrannical, and on my Fortified builds, I pick up Demon Muzzle for that 8% reduced magic damage, which is pretty popular every time I use a Sigil. What else changes here? Really, the only thing changes you'll see on the right side. For Tyrannical, I'm really upping that single target. I'm running for more Soulmonger, I'm getting Fatality, and I'm getting Soul Crush on the left-hand side. I have seen people move Soulmonger for Focus Cleave, but really on Tyrannical, you just want to up the boss damage, right? That's what we're changing. Pretty much everything stays the same and it's pretty valuable across the board. But you're looking to swap your Soulmonger to Focus Cleave, and looking to get that Fatality to help you with your boss survivability. When you go to M+, the talents kind of swap again. We pick up here, through the middle here, Extended Spike Duration. We also pick up Feed the Demon, and we also pick up Last Resort, because I think in Fortified, really, that's a time where you need to be pulling bigger, because you're controlling using your sigils. You want to pull as much as you can, and having double meta just means that risk-free mentality, and I think that's really why we're seeing a lot more Demon Hunters pick this up. Not needed as much in the tyrannical fights, having that you've already got the trinket to give you the meta in a long fight, but really now to start pushing that, proccing and using it every 8 minutes. You've got 2 of them and gives you a chance to really pull big. So we see a lot of Demon Hunters change into these talents. Look, playstyle of Demon Hunter, I think really for me learning is my sigil. Being able to track my different sigil of flames, tracking my sigil of silence, and making sure that I'm pulling packs. So usually I'll open a sigil of flame. I'm going to throw out my brand, immolate. I will infernal strike, throw out my Feldev. Then we'll start doing my rotation once all my sigils are out. I'm going to go through Fracture. I'm going to Spirit Bomb at 5, reapply my Immolate. When Sigil Flame drops off, I'm putting it back on. When Listening Decree's down, I'm going to put it back up. And really, I'm just rotating from Fracture, Immolate, putting my Demon Spikes up, Fellblade, and Spirit Bomb. So that's really the rotation. I guess the real beauty of Demon Hunter is that you can pull big packs and control so much. Like, I'm going to Sigil, and then after 6 seconds, I'm going to Sigil again. Then I'm going to grip the mobs. Then I'm going to fear the mobs. Then I'm going to grip the mobs. Then I'm going to fear the mobs. Then I'm going to AoE stun. And now I'm calling for support from the rest of my team. Who can stun next? Who can individual? So that is your priority as a Demon Hunter, is mastering your sigils. And I think quickly doing that really came from my macros. That changed my gameplay. If you haven't already, you should have... these are the cast at cursors, and this just changed how quick I could put sigils down. And same with my... This is Infernal Strikes the old way, and just removing that GCD to make sure my sigils are down is so important. So I recommend having mouse overs if you already haven't. What else? I guess like pulling on big packs. When I'm grouping multiple packs, I'll throw a sigil out to the right, to the forward. I'll throw Elysian, and that's how I'll group. Then I'll throw down my sigil of change to group them up. But that's how I'm going to pull. I'm not going to jump in with Infernal Strike to pull, because what's going to happen is I haven't built my parry stacks up with Sigil, and I'm just going to get clapped. So really I want to get Sigil out early, not just for the damage, but for the ability to build that extra defensive and parry that we now have and get that healing out. So I would Sigil to engage. Also, if you didn't know, if you're tanking and you're trying to get aggro because your Demon Hunters are popping insane CDs, actually Infernal Striking on the spot is a huge way for Demon Hunters to generate threat. So that's actually your threat generator. So you don't want to be wasting them trying to jump around. You're actually be using them on the pack. So a few Demon Hunters mains actually have Infernal Strike set to a macro, which is to just Infernal Strike on the spot. So if you feel like you're not using them to jump around as much, or you can handle 2 keybinds because you're not old and slow like me, you can also keybind that to yourself. Meta is interesting. It's a 2-minute cooldown. I find if I'm running the Fortify build, like I'm really not going to use it. I need to actively use it because I've got 2 fail-safes, 2 cheat deaths. So I will use meta when I'm first engaging a pack and pulling them all in, because that's probably the most vulnerable. I'm going to hit by something, and I haven't applied my frailty stacks. I haven't started to do my rotation. So I'm in my most vulnerable state. So I'll pop meta probably earlier. And then otherwise, I'll just rotate meta between Feldev, which then applies, of course, my demonic form. In Tyrannical, however, this is where I start to rotate. So every 20 seconds, I'm trying to Feldev. In between the Feldev, I'm going to try and use Metamorpho for big damage. So, for example, first boss of Galadran's Fall, I'm going to, when the first Chrono Cleave or Chrono Edge he puts out, which is a tank buster, I'm going to meta. And then for the next one, I'm going to make sure that I have Feldev for it, so I don't die. If you look at Everbloom with a tank that has the knockback, first thing I'm going to do is make sure I can meta the first one. Next time I'll try and Feldev, and then in between Feldev, I'll try and make sure to consume my Fel Bomb. So that's kind of really the only time I really worry about managing my Fel and meta is really in Tyrannical and high keys when there's tank busters. Otherwise, I'm using it to engage and fight. I guess the other thing to look at too, some people might ask about when do you Spirit Bomb and Soul Cleave. On 3 or more packs, every consumption should be a Spirit Bomb. When you're doing single target, it changes a bit. You should be doing Soul Cleave for your single target. However, if you generate like 4 or more of the soul essence we see around on single target, you're actually supposed to consume a Spirit Bomb because it's worth more. So on single target, you want to be dumping Soul Cleave unless you get 4 or 5, and then you want to dump Spirit Bomb. What else can we talk about? I think that's really that's items, gear, enchants. That's my pulling. I guess we can talk about comps. Like really, for me, I mean, as a demon hunter, I mean, you really can do anything. I think you can push really high. They're in a really good spot. I think a lot of players might be swapping over to Paladin at the moment. For you tanks out there looking for another tank, because they just have those externals of Sack, Bop, and the healing that helps the rest of their party. And when you get to those high keys, it's like you're not going to die as a demon hunter, but your hunter or your evoker is going to die to the ability, right? To just AoE, because they just don't have the health, they don't have the mitigation. And that's why starting high keys, you're going to see more paladins come through. But yeah, that's pretty much hopefully everything that can help you play Demon Hunter. I think it really is a beautiful done class. Having double jump is super fun. Once you start to get into a rhythm of how to pull and stuff, you have really good fun with the sigils and control. Gear is pretty simple to farm. And yeah, I think also if you like a bit of Havoc, you can swap over. So I hope this kind of gives you an insight of, you know, talents, gears, rotation of Demon Hunter and M+. So thanks for watching. Please check out my socials. Subscribe, Patreon, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok. You know, that's it. I'm Mrreeeee. So thanks for watching, guys.